Commercial Driver's License Manual, page 18. You will be put out of service for 24 hours if you have any detectable amount of alcohol under 0.04%. 1.3.3 Serious Traffic Violations. Serious traffic violations are excessive speeding 15 miles per hour or more above the posted limit. Reckless driving, improper or erratic lane changes, following a vehicle too closely, traffic offenses committed in a CMV in connection with fatal traffic accidents, driving a CMV without obtaining a CDL or having a CDL in the driver's possession, and driving a CMV without the proper class of CDL and / endorsements. You will lose your CDL for at least 60 days if you have committed 2 serious traffic violations within a 3-year period involving a CMV. For at least 120 days for 3 or more serious traffic violations within a 3-year period involving a CMV. 1.3.4 Violation of out-of-service orders. You will lose your CDL for at least 90 days if you have committed your first violation of an out-of-service order, for at least 1 year if you have committed 2 violations of an out-of-service order in a 10-year period, for at least 3 years if you have committed 3 or more violations of an out-of-service order in a 10-year period. 1.3.5 Railroad highway grade crossing violations. You will lose your CDL for at least 60 days for your first violation, for at least 120 days for your second violation within a 3-year period, for at least 1 year for your third violation within a 3-year period. These violations include violation of a federal, state or local law or regulation pertaining to one of the following 6 offenses at a railroad highway grade crossing. For drivers who are not required to always stop, failing to stop before reaching the crossing if the tracks are not clear. For drivers who are not required to always stop, failing to slow down and check the tracks, that the tracks are clear of an approaching train. For drivers who are always required to stop, failing to stop before driving onto the crossing. For all drivers failing to have sufficient space to drive completely through the crossing without stopping. For all drivers failing to obey a traffic control device or the directions of an enforcement official at a crossing. For all drivers failing to negotiate a crossing because of insufficient undercarriage clearance. 1.3.6 Hazardous materials endorsement, background check, and disqualifications. If you require a hazardous material endorsement, you will be required to submit your fingerprints and be subject to a background check. You will be denied or you will lose your hazardous materials endorsement if you are not a lawful permanent resident of the United States, renounce your United States citizenship, are wanted or under indictment for certain felonies, have a conviction in military or civilian court for certain felonies, have been adjudicated as lacking mental capacity, or have been involuntarily committed to a mental health facility as specified in squiggly S looking thing, 1572.109, are considered to pose a security threat as determined by the Transportation Security Administration. The background check procedures vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. Your licensing agency will provide you with all the information you need to complete the required TSA background check procedures. 1.3.7 Traffic violations in your personal vehicle. The Motor Carrier Safety Improvement Act, MCSIA of 1999, requires a CDL holder to be disqualified from operating a commercial motor vehicle if the CDL holder has been convicted of certain types of moving violations in their personal vehicle. Page 19. If your privilege to operate your personal vehicle is revoked, canceled, or suspended due to violations of traffic control laws other than parking violations, you will also lose your CDL driving privileges. If your privilege to operate your personal vehicle is revoked, canceled, or suspended due to alcohol, controlled substance, or felony violations, you will lose your CDL for 1 year. If you are convicted of your second violation in your personal vehicle or CMV, you will lose your CDL for life. If your license to operate your personal vehicle is revoked, canceled, or suspended, you may not obtain a hardship license to operate a CMV. 1.4 Other CDL rules. There are other federal and state rules that affect drivers operating CMVs in all states. Among them are, you cannot have more than one license. If you break this rule, a court may fine you up to $5,000 or put you in jail and keep your home state license and return any others. You must notify your employer within 30 days of conviction of any traffic violations, except parking. This is true no matter what type of vehicle you are driving. You must notify your motor vehicle licensing agency within 30 days if you are convicted in any other jurisdiction or any traffic violation, except parking. This is true no matter what type of vehicle you are driving. You must notify your employer within 2 business days if your license is suspended, revoked, or canceled, or if you are disqualified from driving. You must give your employer information on all driving jobs you have held for the past 10 years. You must do this when you apply for a commercial driving job. No one can drive a commercial motor vehicle without a CDL. A court may fine you up to $5,000 or put you in jail for breaking this rule. You have a hazardous materials endorsement. You must notify and surrender your hazardous materials endorsement to the state that issued your CDL within 24 hours of any conviction or indictment in any jurisdiction, civilian or military, or found not guilty by reason of insanity of a disqualifying crime listed in 49 CFR 1572.103, who is adjudicated as lacking mental capacity or have been involuntarily committed to a mental institution as specified in 49 CFR 1572.109, or who renounces his or her U.S. citizenship. Your employer may not let you drive a commercial motor vehicle if you have more than one license or if your CDL is suspended or revoked. A court may fine the employer up to $5,000 or put him/her in jail for breaking this rule. All states are connected to one computerized system to share information about CDL drivers. The states will check on drivers' accident records to be sure that drivers do not have more than one CDL. You are not allowed to hold a mobile telephone to conduct a voice communication or dial a mobile telephone by pressing more than a single button when driving. You are not allowed to send or read text messages while driving. You must be properly restrained by a safety belt at all times while operating a commercial motor vehicle. The safety belt designs holds the driver securely behind the wheel during a crash, helping the driver to control the vehicle and reduces the chance of serious injury or death. If you do not wear a safety belt, you are 4 times more likely to be fatally injured if you are thrown from the vehicle. Your state may have additional rules that you must obey. 1.5 International Registration Plan, International Fuel Tax Agreement. If you operate a CDL required vehicle in interstate commerce, the vehicle, with few exemptions, is required to be registered under the International Registration Plan, IRP, and the International Fuel Tax Agreement, IFTA. These federally mandated programs provide for the equitable collection and distribution of vehicle license fees and motor fuels taxes for vehicles traveling throughout the 48 contiguous United States and 10 Canadian provinces. Under the IRP, jurisdictions must register apportioned vehicles, which includes issuing license plates and cab cards or proper credentials, calculate, collect, and distribute IRP fees, audit carriers for accuracy of reported distance and fees, and enforce IRP requirements. End of page.